Hello, a very good morning to you all. Thank you so much for being with me today on Monday, the 2nd of February. It's February already, which is good. Today I'm going to be making some necklaces with you. I've named them Kelsey and they're flower chains. So if I can show you down on the map very quickly, you can see how they look. Really, really pretty, using these lovely little flower, almost daisy-like beads, or little forget-me-nots. And I'm going to be using some lovely stainless steel chain in between, some beads to make a pop of colour, and some little bead caps as well. So they're really easy to put together, nice comfortable make. You can make them as long as you want to. There's plenty in your kits today. We're going to be making lots and lots of necklaces within each kit, because as you can see, I'm using the beads quite sparingly. So I'm going to take you over to the website now and I will show you those. Good morning to Fairness Born. Hello, Rach. How are you doing? She says, good morning from a cold, wet Barrow. Good morning to Stacey. How are you doing? She says, good morning, beautiful, from Isla Morada, if that's how it's pronounced, in the Florida Keys. Thank you so much. Good morning, Carol. Thank you for being with me today. Apologies for Wednesday. Might as well just say it as it is. I suffered a family bereavement on Wednesday, so thank you so much for any messages of concern. I'm all right. I just didn't want to let anyone down, but also didn't know how professional I was going to be. So thank you for being patient with me. That live that we would have done on Wednesday, I'm going to reschedule, so I'll put that towards probably the end of this month. It'll be a couple of weeks away now, but we will still do it because they're very, very pretty necklaces. So over we go to the website. We are totallybeads.co.uk. This is where you can find all of our tutorials for anything you would like to make. So, hello, my lovely. So, video tutorials on totallybeads.co.uk is how you can see all the things that we make, and you can make along with us and you can purchase your kits. So you've got exactly the same components that I've got here today to make this lovely Kelsey chain necklace. Now we've got, I think it's 5 lovely colours for you today, and each one is going to make up 5 necklaces. So of course, if you want to, you could make a bracelet with it instead. You could make a really long line necklace. You could do all sorts with it. They're just £10.99, so they've already been discounted for you. They should be £12.99 usually, so a little bit of a discount there, which is lovely. And so you're making up 5 necklaces, so it works out as, I think, quite an affordable make. I've got a moss grey, I've got a pink, I've got is that moss grey? I think it's moss green. Yeah, it's moss green. I've got a pink, I've got a space grey, which is kind of like a black coloured really. I've got a gorgeous teal, and I've also got wisteria, which is a very pretty purple. So I will take you in so you can see them. This is moss green. Look, it's green. It's green. So I'm using lots of lovely little components really. I've got glass pearl round beads, which will be in the same colour in your kit. So if you're getting this moss green one, you'll have 4 and 6mm beads in there. We've got the metal flower beads, which are these pretty little things. If I can hover over, you can get a closer inspection of that one. I've got some chain, which is stainless steel. I'm using some lobster clasps, jump rings, Eyepins, and oh, of course, the little bead caps, which you can see there, just to add a little but of detail. If you'd like to know any of the measurements, you can see these moss green beads in 6 and 4mm. You've got your rhodium coloured iron bead caps and your antique silver 5-petal spacers, which you've got all the dimensions there as well. If you'd like to buy any extra things, you can do. Saying that the 30mm eye pins are out of stock, there will be enough in your kit, of course. I'm sure we've still got 50mm available, but we don't need particularly long pins in this one. However, you're getting loads of beads in this, so if you wanted to add extra beads onto your links, you totally could do that. It's entirely up to you. So this one is the moss green, which says grey, little typo. We've also got the Kelsey chain necklace in pink, very pretty in pink. All the same components. I'm using the kind of rhodium findings for this because I think they just go really lovely with the colour of the chain and also with those little floral spaces. There's the chain there. It's a lovely oval 4mm stainless steel in size. So that one is your pretty in pink. Again, making 5 necklaces up in these kits. We've got a gorgeous space grey. I think it's more, it's black. It is black. It's like maybe a not dull, not slightly off. A frosted black, that's the word I'm looking for. It's a frosted black, I think, or a very, very dark space grey, which is how it's actually named. So that one is your kind of monochrome look, which is what I'm going to be demoing for you today. I'll show you all the other colours down on the mat. I didn't have enough chain, so I've taken this one apart, so I'll be making that with the chain, but I'll be showing you how to put it all together and assemble it, making the pins with you today. I'll even show you how to open up a little section of the chain as well. We've got this one here, which is the teal, really, really pretty colour. Again, you're getting your 4 and your 6mm pearls, your glass pearls in that, so you can add more of those to your makes if you would like, because you're going to have loads. Just £10.99 today. Of course, you can change your currency wherever to wherever you want at the top of the page here. This one is the wisteria, so a really nice purple one, and I will show you them how they look on the mat. We did have a bit of a debate last live whether red looked orange and if it was described as pink, but these to me are purple, but they're called wisteria. So there's your lovely colour choices today: a moss green, pink, space grey, teal and wisteria as well. Just £10.99 to make 5 lovely necklaces. Haven't worked out how much that makes per necklace, but you can do the maths. It's a bargain. So they're all there for you on the Totally Beads website. If you would like to have a little look and you want to make along with me, I'm going to just go down on the mat again. Jan says, oh, I like this. I hope you're okay, Heather. Thank you for popping in. Thanks, Deb. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Jan's saying, good morning to everyone in a dull Sudbury. Good morning to Mina. Hello to lovely Jo. Good morning to lovely Joanne. She's in an overcast Coventry. Thank you so much. She says it's a gorgeous necklace. Sheila's in as well, in a very, very wet Washington time, and we are. I'm getting lots of hugs, which is really, really kind of you all. Thank you so much. Good morning, Kelly. Hello, Elaine. Hi, Mummy. Hi, Mummy. Right, so down on the mat we go. These are our lovely necklaces today. So we have this beautiful teal colour, really, really gorgeous. Love this colour. It's not quite blue, it's not quite green, it's just teal, and it's really, really pretty. These little flowers are chunky and gorgeous. So if we have a little look, you can see they're the same all the way around, and they've got that lovely little kind of antiqued metal look to them. Really, really sparkly. Kelly says it's so wet here in Wolverhampton. It's not quite wet here. It's very, very overcast. It's been really cold. Gorgeous, strong stainless steel chain there. I'm just going to be turning the loops with these. I'm not going to be doing wrap loops. You could do if you wanted to, but I think it's a nice, strong and sturdy make if you do them properly. So that one is your teal, and of course I'm going to show you how to do them properly. This one is the wisteria, which is your beautiful purple, gorgeous colour. If you wanted a multi-buy, you could absolutely mix your colours up as well. I think that would look really pretty. And of course, you don't just have to do 2 beads either side. You could do larger beads and a 6mm instead. You could add extras onto your pins here. I've got these gorgeous little bead caps too, which if I hold it at that angle, you can see. I love the fact that they've got these little pierced cutouts, so you see the little pop of colour through that. We've got this lovely moss green, which is very much green. Really, really pretty. We have the pretty pink, which is a lovely light pink colour. then we also have the space grey, which is almost like a black, which is what I'm going to be making today. So let's get making. First of all, I'm going to cut 12 segments of my chain. Now you can cut these to the length which you want. I've done 10 links, which works out at about an inch really. So if you wanted to take your long length of chain, which you'll have in your kit, you can just measure it out so you can get them to size, and you can count your links if you prefer. So all I'm going to be doing to open that chain is I'm going to take 2 pairs of my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to hold it up and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm going to open the 11th link. So to open, I'm going to find where it opens up. Now it is a very strong, it's stainless steel, so it's nice and strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to hold one side, if I can show this upwards, to where the opening is. And then I'm just going to flip the chain over. I didn't count, let's just open any. So I'm going to hold one side of the chain with my pliers. I'm going to flip the other side over so I can get plenty of purchase on the other side. I'm going to flip it open by giving it a little turn towards me like it was a jump ring. And I'm going to close that back again. That's how easy it is to open the chain. If you don't want to count and you just want to kind of measure it and do it by eye, what I often do is I will then take one of my pins. Oh, look at that. I didn't even count, I just looked. And I'm just seeing that they're even. I want my chain sections to be equal in size. So popping them on a pin and just holding them together lets me see that they are equal. So I'm going to cut 12 sections of that, and then I'm going to have a little pile. You can do this in whatever order that you want to, but I've got a little section pile of all my little sections of chain just sitting there ready to go. Now I'm going to start assembling my pins, and all I need to do is just make them in whichever design that I want, and then I'm just attaching them together. So I'm going to make 6 with the 6mm beads. So I'm going to take my eye pin. These are all going to come in your kit. They've got a little loop on one side already done for you. I'm going to take one of my very pretty, almost filigree looking bead cap. So if I hold it up like this, you can see it's domed. It's got a larger hole right through the center, which is where I'm going to be popping my pin. And I want it to be facing upwards like so. And then I'm going to take my 6mm bead and I'm going to slide that on. And you can see it's just a wonderful size. It's just going to cup that bead really pretty, nice and snug. And you can see the colour in those little kind of perforated, cut out decorative holes around it. And then I'm putting my next one on. This side, it's going to go on in the domed way. So they're going to be cupping that bead either side. I'm sorry, I'm struggling for, when I get close, struggling to see, isn't it? So you can see I've got those shapes around the top and around the bottom, and that's just how I want to do it. But you've got so many beads in this kit. If you wanted to put a 4mm either side of that, you absolutely could as well. I think if I was using the bead caps with the 4mm, it would probably just cover it that little bit too much, and it would be more bead cap than bead. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I'm using the 4mm, you can see it's too large really for that bead. So I mean, if that's the look you like, but you will get those little sharp kind of, not sharp, but more jagged edges sticking out around it. So I'm using those to cup the 6mm, but of course as well, if you wanted to, you could pop on the 4 if you want to make different kind of beaded sections. You're making 5 necklaces here, so you've got absolutely plenty to mess around with the design and make it as you want it to. So if you wanted to, maybe you could do something like that. So I'm still adding the bead caps on. I think that looks quite pretty. But for the design that I've put together, I'm just going to be making 6 like this. So bead cap facing upwards, then the 6mm bead, and then the bead cap facing downwards, like so. Now you can use your loop-in pliers if you want with this, or you can just use chain nose and your round nose. Just going to be turning a pin like normal. Going to be pushing down towards where that bead cap is. I wonder if I move stuff, whether that will help a little bit. Do excuse me, I'm going to give my camera lens a tiny little polish. It's like I'm washing your face. Just wondering if that's going to make any difference. There you go. So I'm going to take my pliers, chain nose pliers, I'm going to push down on the bead so the bead cap is snug against the bead, and I'm going to give it a little bend. Now my loop is facing upwards at the moment rather than at the side, so if I bend that pin almost to a 90-degree angle, I want it quite close, so I don't want the bead to be able to move too far up and down, especially the bead cap. I want that to stay close to the bead. I'm going to come in with my cutters and I'm going to cut, leaving about 1 centimetre, holding on to the other end of the pin as I do. It's probably a little bit over 1 centimetre there, it doesn't matter too much. What you can do is you can mark where you cut on the pin if you want it to be absolutely precise, but I tend to find that just making sure my bead cap is down. I'm now going to support the bead cap and the bead between my thumb and my finger. I'm going to take my round nose pliers and make sure that's nice and flush. There's no pin sticking out the end, so I'm going to be able to turn that whole pin. If you want to, you can always take a little marker and you can mark on your round nose pliers where you're turning, so you're going to be turning each pin in exactly the same place. Or you could use Bale step making pliers as well if you want, and then you're getting to get the same size. I tend to just do it by eye. I did cut that a little bit too large, but it doesn't matter too much. As I'm rotating that pin round, they're fairly equal either side, and I'm just making sure I've turned that pin all the way. So I'm going to make 6 of those in total. So there's 3 I've made earlier, including that one, and then again I'm just going to make these in like little batches really. So I'll probably cut my chain first, then I'll do these set of pins, and then I'll make the other little decorative pins as well. So bead caps onto each side, bend in my pin. I want it fairly horizontal, so when it turns, that loop will sit nice and neatly directly on top. Anastasia says, Natalie, thank you. I had milk around my mouth eating cereal. I think that's from when I was wiping the screen and washing your face. You do make me laugh. Thank you so much for putting a smile on my face today. Right, there you go. I'm going to cut there, so it's about 1 centimetre. Keep hold of the pin. We don't want them firing off. But also, if you've got your 30mm pins, then you've got a little bit left. If you've got your 50mm pins and you're using those, then you've got lots left that you can always keep, and you can just give them a little rotate into a P shape, straighten it back up. So I've got another eye pin that wasn't straight at all, was it? There you go. Just push back on the pin and you've got more eye pins there ready to use. But mainly you just don't want them firing off, so make sure that you're handling your materials correctly. Can you wear safety goggles as well if you want to make sure you're being extra safe? So just rotating that all the way round, turning that pin. If it's not quite straight, you can take your 2 pairs of pliers and just reposition or give it a little twist. I want the loops facing the same way and roughly the same size. And I can do that with my pliers as well, my looping tool. Thank you, Izzy. I'll be honest, sweetheart, yours was the name I was worried about seeing on screen. Thank you so much. She says, this make looks great, as does everything you do. I'd like to make some rings. Any chance of a tutorial? Well, you just watch this space, Miss Blackburn, because I'm on a trip to the warehouse very soon, this weekend, in fact. So, yeah, I'll be popping some ideas together, and I'll have a little look at some ring tutorials for you. So, if I'm using my looper tool, I'm going to push my bead cap still right up to that end, and I'm going to make sure my pin is coming out the other side, and then just going to close it down with my hands. That will, just by squeezing the handle, it's going to cut that pin off, and it's going to rotate my loop. What I do want to make sure though is that my loop is fully closed, and I'll center it. So I usually do go back in with my pliers. If you can see the jaws of my pliers just in there, it's just giving it a little extra turn. So you can use that as well if you want. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the beads with the caps. And now I'm going to make 5 of my pins using the 4mm beads and these gorgeous flowers. So if you have a little look at my flowers, they've got 5 little petals going around the outside, all rounded and lovely, and the same on both sides. So it doesn't matter which way I'm picking them up. They're nice and chunky, but they're not too heavy, and they have a lovely drill hole, nice size all the way through. So all I'm going to be doing for them is popping my smaller bead, which is the 4mm, onto the pin, letting that drop down to the loop, and then I'm going to be popping on my flower, and then another little bead. And again, you can change this up. If you want to do the 6mm either side of that, you absolutely can. If you want to add different colours into it, you can multi-buy these kits if you wish. And I think the wisteria would look lovely with the moss green. I think everything goes with green. Nature puts green with everything, therefore green goes with everything. You can see there my pin has turned. It doesn't matter. These flowers will act, I suppose, as little kind of fidget spinners, party jewellery as well if you want to. So don't worry too much about the placement of everything. Just get the beads on the order that you want them to be. Again, coming in with my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to push down against that bead. So I don't want to do it down here because then all those there'll be gaps and spaces. So I want to make sure that my beads are flush together, and I'm going to give it a bend over into that 90-degree angle again, coming in with my cutters. I'm going to, from the bend, cut, so I should have a centimetre space between the bead and my cutters, giving that a little cut, nice and flush. Round those pliers onto the end again, making sure it's flush. If I've got my pin sticking out, that bit's not going to turn. So I want to keep it in the jaws of my pliers. I'm going to support the beads between my thumb and my finger. Don't worry if it turns round, we can straighten that up. We've got nice strong pins here. So I'm giving it a little flick, then I'm repositioning my wrist and little rotations all the way around. If it goes like a little bit of a P shape instead, knock it back. Just reposition as you want to. And it never goes quite the same when I stop. If I do it all in one motion, I get it all right, but whenever I break it down, it just never quite goes as perfect. But I'm trying to explain it to you. So that's why I kind of break it down. But they're kind of similar in size, and they're both facing the same direction. But again, if they're not, take one loop, hold over the pliers with it, and then you can twist into position. So I'm going to be making 5 of them. So one more, you can again use your looper if you want to. I'm going to be using 4mm bead, then the lovely flower. And again, it doesn't matter which way you put your flower on. The drill hole runs so it goes between 2 petals and out through the centre of one. I've not been particular about that because obviously if they flip over, they're the same whichever way. So bead on, flower on, and the bead on. Bending over with my pliers, pushing them all down fairly close, giving that a nice turn, trimming off, leaving 1 centimetre, holding on to the end of my pin, picking my round nose up again, nice and flush, supporting the bead, little rotations all the way around, so I'm not putting too much pressure on my wrist. And if it's got a little bit of a gap, you can open it up, move it on down the plier a little bit more, and make that loop a little bit bigger if need be. Your loops on the other side should be all done for you, but again, if you need to, you could adjust that to make sure it's fully closed and centered. So I'm going to have in total my lovely little flowers like this. So I should have 5 of those, and I should have 6 of those. So you can see in terms of beads, I'm not using many at all. That's why we've added in lots of extras in terms of the chain and the findings, so you can make multiple makes. Now all I'm going to do is start attaching them to my chain. Now my chain is stainless steel. It's really nice and strong. I'm not going to be using jump rings to attach these together, and I'm not going to be opening up the links on my chain. I'm going to be opening up the loops on my flowers. That's why I've not done wrap loops with them. I've just turned a loop. Now, in terms of the order of how you want these, you can do whatever you like. Again, it's your make, your design. I'm going to start off with a flower in the center, and I'm just going to alternate. So I'll have my 6mm beads, then I'll have my other flowers, then my 6mm beads, then my flowers, and my 6mm beads. If you didn't want to add the chain in, you could add these together and you could make a necklace this way. You could make a bracelet this way. You could add the chain in and you could have a bracelet as well that way. So you could do whatever you like. This is the order I'm going to be placing mine in. So I have my flower in the center and I'm alternating between the beads I've made, and I'm going to be piecing them together with the chain. So I'm going to take my center one, which is the flower, and I'm going to just flick up over ever so slightly the loop that I've turned, and then going to attach my chain through, and then with my pliers, just as I'm doing a jump ring, little twist up to open, little twist away to close. I'm going to make sure that that is closed. If it's got a gap, if my loop isn't turned well, then there's a chance that when I'm wearing it, if I'm putting enough pressure on this, that it might slip through and it might come open. So we want to make sure they're closed down properly. Then I'm going to just attach it from the other side. So the ready-made loop that come on my eye pin, I'm going to give a little flick up. I'm taking another piece of chain. I've done this amount, so there'll be 12 pieces of chain, 6 pieces of my bead connectors with the 6mm beads and the bead caps, and then there'll be 5 with the floral section. And then I'm closing that over again. So that's my first one. Now I'm just going to be picking up each bead one by one. So once you've made these, it's a really quick, easy assembly, really straightforward to do, and makes really nice wearable jewellery. Don't really see the point in having jewellery if you can't wear it or you don't want to wear it. And this is the joy of making our own, because you can make it to your preference. Sometimes you might buy a piece of jewellery and you might think, I don't like the length of that, I don't like where that sits, or that's too big for my wrist, or that's too small for my wrist. You make whatever you want and you can customise it to your preference and your size. Of course, you get to choose your colours as well. So we've got, I think it was 5 lovely colours for you to choose from today. So yeah, that's the joy of making jewellery as well. Sometimes, it's nice to have an inexpensive make. I've got jewellery which is quite sentimental. You might have something that's expensive and you only wear it on special occasions. I think every day should be a special occasion. So you wear your jewellery, wear it and enjoy it. And with something like this, you could wear it, and then in a couple of weeks or months or years' time, you might think, I think I don't want to wear it like that anymore. You can take this apart really easily. All you'll need is your pliers. Take it apart, make it into something else. I think they'd make really lovely earrings as well. So if you've got some earring hooks in your kit, or you could make your own ear wires, you could make these into little earrings as well. It's the joy of having those connectors when you make your pins, because you can just add them to whatever you like. So all I'm doing is just working from one side onto the next, opening up the loop, attaching on my chain segment. The loops that I've made will ensure that my chain fits in really nicely, and I'm just alternating between the beads, which are 6mm in size, with the bead caps, adding another little section of chain, and then adding my floral beads with the 4mm beads. So I just work from side to side, and that's why I tend to make my chain first and my beads up first. So I've got all my components ready, and all it's a case of then is just sitting and assembling. So it is quite a quick make. I guess it might take you about 20 minutes. Don't really like putting times on things, because it depends what you're doing and what you're distracted with, and how practiced you are, I suppose, at turning your loops, and what tools and equipment you've got. So if you've got a looper tool, it'll take you probably a lot less time than if you're going to use your chain nose pliers and your round nose pliers and your cutters, because that's basically like 3 tools in one. So it's each to their own, isn't it? Just have a little bit of time, just enjoy making. Now that one, I think, is a little bit wider. You can see how those beads are moving up and down. I think that was picked up from my other pile. So what I'm going to do, just to rectify that, is I'm going to go in with my round nose pliers again. I'm going to open up the loop that's already been made, and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. I don't want to be putting, obviously, too much pressure on that pin, but by making that a little bit wider, you can see now it's not moving up and down as much. So yeah, it's flower on this side, I think. I don't know, I got distracted. Should be. Just sliding that on and closing it over. And then adding in my chain again. So I want my chain to be equal in length. So as I say, I've counted 10 links, which is about 1 inch for each segment. But if you wanted to, you could change that up as well. You could make the chain longer or smaller, or you might want it longer in other sections than others. What I would suggest, though, if you do that, is, unless you want something which is asymmetrical, position them the same on each side. So if I wanted these sections smaller, then I'd have this section and that side the same. And that way you're going to have that equal balance of your center point. What you could do as well is you could attach your connectors to each other. So if you wanted to miss the chain out in parts, and you could have them connected like that, that's an option as well. So coming to the end already now, really straightforward. I'm just going to flick it open and slide it on and close it over. And then on the other side, just opening up my loop. Doesn't matter which way round I pick these up, they're all the same. So I can, I'm not paying attention to what side the bead is, or which loop I'm opening. I'm not opening it too much, just wide enough to just thread on the chain, and making sure I've closed it over. So I've not been particularly looking, but I know that if I've closed it originally when I formed that loop, then when I close it with my pliers again, it should come flush. We want these pieces almost kind of touching in on itself. So if I slide my chain on, as I close that loop, can you see how this part of the curl is almost, or is touching that side there, and then it's fully closed. And then once I've added all 12 pieces of my chain, I'll measure this out actually as well so you can see the length of it. And we are going to be adding a clasp, so if you can open and close the necklace. However, if you just want to make a long overhead necklace, you could add in more and then join them together with another bead and then slip it over the head that way. I'm going to be adding a clasp to this, and that all comes in your kit as well. I think that's even. I found another flower. I don't know why. So I've got 2 jump rings, which are outer diameter 6 by 1, and I've got a 12mm lobster clasp. These are also in rhodium finish, so they will be matching. If you have a little look, all your metals are matching perfectly. So I'm just going to open up my jump ring. So I take my pliers, find the opening in the ring, and give it a little turn towards me, and then going to slide that through the last link of the chain, and then to close it I'm going to take my dominant hand and just twist the jump ring back, making sure it's nice and closed, and then I'll do the same on the other side. Little turn towards me, doesn't want to focus. Again, not opening it up too much, just enough to slide in that last link, and then your lobster clasp will also go onto that jump ring, and then it will close if need be. Take it past the point where they meet, so it'll close nice and flush. So in terms of length for this design, let's see how many inches and centimetres that works out at. So that's 12. £21.5 in terms of inches, and then in centimetres, 30, 40, 55 or 54.5 centimetres. You can make these as long as you want, as short as you want. As I say, you've got that nice, easy, attachable clasp, so you can get that on and off as you wish. If you wanted to just join them together, maybe with another connector, make them longer, you can wear them as an overhead. I will put it on. Again, probably not wearing the best jumper today because it's full of sparkle, but that's why I like it. But you can see on me, it sits here. Obviously everyone's shape is different, so you can make that easily to fit how you want to. So this is the Kelsey flower necklace, or the Kelsey chain necklace. They are £10.99. If you head over to totalybeads.co.uk, you can see you can get the moss grey, the moss green, the pink, the space grey, the teal, and the wisteria as well. This one I've made is your space grey. Back down on the mat, you can see we have the gorgeous teal, a pretty wisteria, a lovely pink, and then we have the moss green as well. Hello Nessia Craft, thank you for joining me. Furnace Born said pretty, simple and elegant. I would have to change myself as I'm allergic to stainless steel. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, you need to change the chain then. We've got lots of chain available, and lots of chain would work with this. I like to use different metals. I think, the components that we have on Totally Beads, I think nearly all of them are nickel free, and we will always pop that on. But I think it's important that, you have the choice. But again, because we're making our own jewellery, what you could do is you could buy these components separately if you wanted to, not get the chain and use a different chain. If you wanted to do that, I'll show you how that is done. So if you head over to totallybeads.co.uk, and this goes for anyone and everyone. So if there's something that you think, I'd really like to make that, but I want to swap that out, or maybe I've got beads that I want to use instead. So what you would do is you would go over to the website, you'd find the tutorial of the make that you're interested in. You can click into whichever one you want, and then you can just add those products into your basket separately. So you might think, I want the pearls, so you can just click add them. You might think, I don't want to use those pearls, I want to use everything else. And then you can just get the bead caps, you can get the spaces, all of those things. You can see all of the product description here. So you could click on those individually, and you could choose a different chain if that's what you wanted to do. It would work out still very cost effective. You can see I can get 25 pieces of these. I've only used 5. So, you know, you could make up 5 necklaces still using those. If I had to do the maths then. You're going to get 200 pieces of those. They're just £1.50. £1.50 for 200 pieces. £1.50 for 25 pieces of those. But what we do is when we put, or what Simon does at the warehouse, when I put these kits together, he will then add up how much all of your components should be, and then he'll often give you a little bit of a discount. So although you're more than welcome to buy the components individually, if you buy the kit, then you tend to get a little bit of a discount. So of course, these have totted up to £12.99 today, and he's discounted them for you very kindly and generously for just £10.99. So head over to totallybeads.co.uk for any of your shopping needs and jewellery making requirements. You'll be able to find all of our makes, past, present, future. Well, if you go on the YouTube link, if you, for example, if you go on to my YouTube, which is Natalie Patton Jewellery, I think it's called, or if you go on to Totally Beads YouTube link, it will show you what we've got coming up, and you can click on get your materials here, and quite often you can have a sneaky head start. I don't know why I've copied the invite link there. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Wanted to get back into my comments. Oh, thank you very much. Neshu says, very beautiful. She's giving me a heart. That's really lovely. Thank you, Izzy. She gave me a beautiful. Helen says, Helen's asking, are the tutorials labelled as easy, medium or hard? No, because I make my passion's wire work. So for me, a wire project would be something I would probably class as easy. However, Katie, who is another fabulous creator, I just included myself in that, didn't I? She's a stitch beader predominantly, and her makes blow my mind. To her, they're really straightforward. If you were to say to me, come on now, do a Russian spiral, I'd be like, So no, we don't label them easy, middle or hard, because everyone has their own different kind of skill sets. However, I would like to think I make everything easy, or I try and explain it as best as I can. We talk you through it step by step. What you could do is you could watch the tutorial. You can watch them all back, so you can click, you can speed up. So if you don't want to see me chatting and asking people what the weather's like, you can speed up to the actual make itself, just skip forward in the video. You'll be able to see, is this something I think I could do? Is it something, hopefully, that we're explaining clearly enough for you to give it a go? And if you have then decided you want it, you come to sit down and you can't make whatever it is, then just comment. Make a little comment. I will always go back and do my best to talk you through it again, explain it in a different way and differentiate it for you. We all started somewhere. So people might watch me doing the odd stitch project and think, she's not that great. You may watch back and see me a few months ago, or a year, or it's 5 years now. 5 years I've been privileged to do this with you. So I had a little memory pop up the other day which said how excited I was to be invited by my Totally Beads community to come on as we used to do a thing called Sunday Beader. So we'd invite someone on and they'd have a little chat and show you what they'd made. And I come on with my very early wire work makes, which I look back at now and think, I can't believe I showed that off. But everyone was really, really kind and encouraging and said, could you do a tutorial on this? And I said, yeah. And 5 years on, I have never looked back. I have changed my job. It's changed my life. I know it sounds corny, but I love doing this. I love being with you. I love this community. You're there for me through life's ups and downs, aren't you? And you always put a smile on my face. So yeah, 5 years now I've been making jewellery twice a week at least for Totally Beads, and many more to come. So I really hope that you see how I've progressed as a maker, and just give everything a go. So I'll never say it's going to take you this. I might say it's a quick make. I'll always say at the beginning it's an easy make. But they're all easy if you stick at it. Helen says, thanks, Natalie. I'll always be interested whether you are explaining things very well, and I'll always comment if you need to. That's fantastic. You've had 5 years doing what you do. I'm very, very lucky, aren't I? Yeah, Camille says, Helen, join the Totally Beads handmade group. So if you're watching on Facebook, there's our page there which you can go into and you can join and you can share your makes. You can just have a little nosy at what other people are making. We share all sorts of stuff in there, but as I always say, they are the most helpful, friendly bunch. But I'm in many different types of Facebook groups and online groups, and there's always drama. There just is, isn't there? There's all, when you get people from all over the place with all different opinions, there's always drama. And I've never, ever seen any drama in the Totally Beads one. We've got makers from all over the world, and we've all got that common love of making, and everyone is always very kind and very supportive. So if you've ever got a question, someone will help. If you just want to show something off, people will say, that's lovely. No one will ever critique your make unless you ask them to. I've often put something up and thought, I'm struggling with this, or can anyone advise this? So yeah, we're a great bunch. Joanne says 5 years. Wow. Oh, thank you. She says we all love seeing what you're up to. Well, you're nosy like me, aren't you? You've seen, like, you know, when I do this, I do make, and then I like to chat. So you know what my family's up to, you know where I'm holidaying, you know what I'm making, you know what I'm having for tea. Sheila says, I remember the first time you appeared on Facebook Live Sunday Maker, and you've come a long way since that day. I think so. I think just confidence, isn't it, really? Natalie, I still make the herringbone earrings you did as a first tutorial, and people still like buying them. That's great. Mina, I was going to rework them. I think I'm going to do a double herringbone because I don't think I've done that as alive yet. So yeah, any suggestions, get them to me, and thank you for those that have. As I say, I'm going down to the warehouse this weekend. I'm going to be very, very busy, and I want to come back with loads of things that you want to make and you want to see. So do let me know. Thank you, Sheila. You're all really kind. Anastasia says beautiful necklace. So I hope I've not missed any questions. I will have a little scroll back after I've finished and just check. Thank you all for being with me today. I'm going to be back on Wednesday. We're going to start, I think, with a little bit of love, a little bit of Valentine's kind of theme. So this make that I'm doing on Wednesday is a wire make. I'm making wire components with you. I have done them. I made the love knots in the hoopy rings. I'm going to be doing a bracelet with you this time, only I'm not going to be doing a double love knot. I'm going to be showing you how to make a triple love knot. They're really, really, really straightforward to do. And they're not overly Valentine's. You can wear them just as a beautiful component. People won't see it and think it's like a heart. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a heart, but it represents love represents friendship. It represents togetherness and family. And they're really pretty and really straightforward to do. In terms of tools, if you have bail step making pliers, which are these things, bring them with you on Wednesday and we'll make together. If you don't have them, have a little look if you've got like a little, maybe like a crochet hook or something, or a very small pencil, something rounded. The reason why I'm going to be using these is because we've got that consistency. So my round nose pliers, you can see it tapered, so they get smaller at the end and larger towards the handle. So these are a very useful thing to have, and I'll be showing you how to do and use them on Wednesday if you come and join me then. Until then, my lovely people, I hope you have a really good week, and stay safe, stay warm, stay making, and keep smiling. I'll see you all soon. Take care.